right, you're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. I share some of your views with you, but I am under orders to read this quotation again. And from Dr. Chuba Okadigbo, the former president of the Nigerian Senate, he said, if you are emotionally attached to your tribe, religion, or political leaning to the point that truth and justice become secondary considerations, your education is useless, your exposure is useless. If you cannot reason beyond petty sentiments, you are a liability to mankind. So let me read just a few of your messages, and then we will get to the other issues. Eliasu in Tamale says that even if the incidents had taken place in a polling station, it was not a justification to pull out of the race. Shocking was when President Mahama sought to incite the NDC members to violence by his comments. Okay, so proceed. Let's look for the next message. This is too long. Paul Boateng says that Ghana is no more the shining star in Africa. We only print ballot papers and call it election. Practice political musical chairs every 4 years and call it democracy. There is no good thing happening in Ghana. Really? Ibrahim Kopa in Tamale says the NDC attributed their withdrawal from the election to skirmishes in only one polling station out of 137. Will they have pulled out of the election if it was Ketu South constituency? Okay, now don't forget that Kodeo also issued a statement, and in that statement they point to yet another place where they saw these hooded security people doing the wrong things. Actually, manhandling a police officer. Well, the EC denies that. Don't know how the EC gets into that though. Eja Adam says people have been shot and others assaulted by supposed security officers, and yet as overly partisan as we have become, we call this, quote, staged. What exactly do we gain from doing this to ourselves? Okay, thank you for those messages. So now let's get to Ahmed Hussein Suale. You know what happened to him. Unfortunate, very unfortunate. Undercover journalist with Anas Armiao, Anas's Tiger IPI. So a couple of things are coming up. I want to see if there is any glimmer of justice in the works. Anas was with the CID this week, and we are told that he presented some evidence which is significant. So are we getting closer to anything? Well, Ken Agyapong, who has been, some say, very unfairly targeted in this regard for exposing him, you know, or disclosing his identity, also spoke to the BBC and has some very interesting comments to make. Let's listen to Ken Agyapong, and then let's go to speak to Anas's lawyer, Kisi Ejabing, and find out what is this evidence.
Now, I'm ready to use Even when the proceedings of the person being prosecuted for offending any of our laws, it does not bar us as an institution into punishing that person for contempt. It is on this basis, Mr. Speaker, I humbly request you and the House to refer my colleague, the MP for Asin Central, to the Privileges Committee so that I will there be able to provide all the videos and evidence that I believe will lead to his finding guilty and punished, so that this House, our dignity, and the way the public view us, will continue to be of honorable members, not the type that is going on and the utterances that is unbecoming of a member of parliament.
It will be very unbecoming of a member of parliament for any reason under this earth to incite that any person should be beaten. At least he should be sanctioned for the rest of the session. And the rest of the session is the whole of the year. So that's
suspended from parliament for the rest.
So if it's sanctioned and suspended for the whole of the session, what will mean is that he will lose his immunity, and that will enable other ordinary citizens who may want to take him on through the law will be able to do that. Because now, to be able to report him, for the police to be able to arrest him, they have to write to Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker have to, when we are sitting, he cannot go to court. I ain't getting all this impediment. When he's now an ordinary citizen, all those he has threatened and all that can now have also the liberty to now go through the due process to report, and then he be dealt with through the legal system.
It shouldn't have happened. I mean, we are members of parliament and we are representing people, and we are, each and every one of us is a leader in its own right, because if you are leading people, I mean, and I feel very bad about what happened, because two wrongs cannot make a right. No matter the provocation, one should be restrained. And a lot of people have called and have expressed saying that I'm really very sorry about what happened yesterday. I really wish it never happened. But as human, the self-preservation is natural, and sometimes, especially when you do not expect it. And as you know, in Parliament itself, sometimes argument can become very heated. We are thankful that it didn't get to, I mean, what do you call it, fist exchange, but it stayed at words exchange. I pray that this never happens again. This is what I would say with regards to yesterday in the morning.
All right, so we didn't play you what happened on the BBC, but this is what happened here in Ghana in the parliament, the Parliament of Ghana. And the parliamentarians went to work, and what happened? We understand that there was a discussion because Muntaka Mubarak has asked the Speaker to refer Ken Agyapong to the Privileges Committee for investigations and punishment for contempt for misconduct. What is that misconduct? For disclosing or blowing the cover of Ahmed Suale, and he believes that is what led to his death. Until he showed his face, nobody killed him. He didn't die. So he brought that up, and they had a discussion about it, and it doesn't look like things went well. They came into the chamber itself, and there they began to exchange words that I really were hoping that we could, black them out as we play them to you. So that's what happened. So he's apologized, but is that the end of the story? We may focus a bit on the fact that Anas Armia Anas himself was at the CID and submitted some evidence. We want to find out what exactly is contained in here. Let's see if the lawyers will tell us anything about it. And again, that Ken Agyapong has been invited. The police have written to the Speaker to give them the opportunity to arrest him or so. And the Speaker says, no, if you want him, come to the House on Thursday. Is that really the case? And how do they feel about this? Do I have Ken Agyapong on the line? Okay, so we'll be joined by Kisi Agyapong later. Now, maybe if I should start with Clara on this note. Clara, what do you make of what the MP was seeking to do in Parliament? As far as he's concerned, Kennedy should be held liable because he exposed the guy's identity. And if the law will not deal with him by way of, does not catch him by way of prosecution, there should be some moral, a process that makes him feel responsible. What do you say?
Well, I think Muntaka is within his rights to raise any, as a member of parliament, to raise any issue on the floor of parliament affecting any of his colleagues. So it's at this point, yes, I have looked at it. It's been sad. It's sad in the fact that this young man just had to lose his life like that, and then we are really hoping that at least we will be able to find justice, that his life, that we would find justice for his life. With respect to the showing of the video, yes, of course, I hold, if you look at the Honorable Member of Parliament, he's a person of influence, a lot of influence in the first place. I believe that there were structures that were that he could have triggered rather than showing the picture on TV.
Go to police?
Yes.
He doesn't believe the police. He says he doesn't believe them.
So what do we do?
So, yes. So what, and he is a person of influence. He's not just any ordinary person. And he's not just any ordinary MP. He has a lot of influence as well. And he has a lot of resources. If what we hear him, he has a lot of resources to be able to assist. So if he had done the work and then he thought he had evidence enough and the police was not acting it, I believe he has the power and the influence and the resources to make sure that the relevant actors act, or to at least bring the
He's saying that he was exposing criminals, and what is wrong with that? Oh, he's saying that the same way that Anas and his team, including Ahmed Suale, have disgraced judges, why not if they are also exposed? So that's all he did. He has no liability.
We come back to standards. I've always said that if we have no standards, anything goes. So we are basically like lawless people, where anytime anybody feels like this is right to do, then you go ahead and do it. But we all know that the constitution that we operate under says you are innocent until you are proven guilty, which means that you can't really say these are criminals unless you have a conviction showing that they are criminals.
Why does the standard not apply to the other people he accuses these people of exposing?
I don't recall seeing any Anas video that called on the members of the public to take a certain action against the people,
the judges,
the people in his video. I haven't heard Anas showing a video and calling on people that if you see these people, they are bad people, beat them.
Recorded in the act.
Exactly. And no, but apart, so he showed, yes. And apart, even we can have, I don't have problems with people who have issues with his modus operandi in the way that he does his work. But it would be good that we have a system and we have a framework. So let's address it in the framework. In his case, when he thinks that people are guilty, he takes the additional step of providing evidence. Yeah. And for prosecutions to go, and then some of them are found guilty. Not all of them are found guilty. Right. Some of them have actually been acquitted. It means that they are no criminals. So he didn't just conclude based even on his video evidence that, well, they are guilty, so the rest of the members of the public, you go deal with the criminals. So to that extent, and then looking at the character of the MP, I believe that he has resources that he could help us build this framework. Otherwise, if we just leave it to all of us, then we are really back in the state of nature.
Okay, I'll let you have a say on what you think about the reports that the police actually want to have him, and to further interrogate him, but the speaker is declining to give them that opportunity and saying that they should rather come to the house on Thursday to interrogate him if they want. Lawyer Kisi Agyapong acts for Anas Aramiyaw Anas and the Tiger Eye PI team. Thank you for joining us, Kisi Agyapong.
Thanks for having me.
Great. Okay,
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Senior. Right, so I don't know. First of all, if I may ask, do you have any issues with what we are learning that there is an invitation, the police wants to have interrogate or arrest, so to speak, and the speaker is saying they should rather come to the house? And what do you also say, if you want to speak briefly about the issue that has gone onto the floor of Parliament? What do you have to say about that, if you have anything to say about that, before I get to your evidence before the police?
Well, something that actually, even if it's going to take 50 years for us to find it, we will come to the end of it someday.
Okay.
So whether it is today he's interrogated or that, as far as it fits into the framework of a live ongoing investigation, and it is not going to be a cold case, when it gets there, it should be interrogated.
Okay. There is international, global pressure on the country Ghana to fish out the perpetrators. Do you feel the police is lax or the security system is not acting fast enough?
I wouldn't say so. Just that from the beginning, it appeared as if we were alone. When I say we were alone, the Tiger IPI and Mr. Anan's side, and for us, the law firm representing them, it appeared as if we were alone in the fight from the beginning. But with the international dimensions taken, and the police should be up and doing on this matter from what has happened, at least from last week till date.
Okay, so
we were a little concerned, for instance, that a day after, right after the young man was murdered, someone was allowed to fly out of the country. And he was as he was going at the airport, he was still daring people and insulting, and he was still allowed to fly out. We thought that never have occurred, but since then, we think that things are proceeding in a better manner.
We understand he's not the only one who flew out of the country, really, and that the police say they have spoken to him and they have spoken to Kwesi Nyantakyi. All of these two left the country, right, at the same time?
A day apart or so.
Yeah, okay. And you felt that there was a bit of inertia on the side of the security?
Yes, for the gentlemen to have been allowed to fly out. I'm not accusing anybody of criminality here. I should make it very clear. Right. I'm not accusing anybody of criminality. But the manner in which they were allowed to fly out, I thought was unwelcome. Assuming
they were your clients and they had been arrested, you would have asked that they be granted bail and that they should not be restricted from traveling. So what's wrong with it?
Of course, I'm saying that. But without any invitation, without any questioning, they just allowed to travel out like that. That was our concern. Okay. If you invite the person initially and you think that, well, you know me, I'm not the type to suggest that someone's freedom should be restricted unduly or unreasonably. Okay. But at least the first action ought to be taken for us to know that you're working. Especially when the person, one of the gentlemen, is going and insulting and challenging everybody and daring everybody. It gave us out to the international community as uninterested.
Okay. So was it Thursday or Wednesday you were at the police with Anas? We are interested. Can you share what is this significant evidence that you presented to the police?
You see, when the whole matter started on the ride and the night when he was killed, we were shocked, of course. But then we were also taken aback by the fact that we had since the beginning of 2018 been saying that this man's life, the young man's life, was in danger. It was in danger because of the kind of phone calls and phone messages he was receiving, and the evidence that given to the police and that we reiterated again was that at least in one phone conversation, there was a clear indication that his life was going to be ended. It was so clear. You will lose your life. That was what was stated in the phone conversation. And this phone call is recorded and it was transcribed. And we've had this since, and we gave it out. And we've given it out again. So that's a crucial bit, that he was constantly being threatened together with other members of the...
So you mean the police did not pursue this, and so you had to go and re-emphasize the point?
You see, the evidence that we put together initially for all these agencies had that bit in it.
Okay.
The threat and the transcription of the phone conversation, that particular phone conversation that you will lose your life. It was part of the package.
You certainly would not want to disclose the identity of this person, but
no, I cannot.
Is the person among the people that were investigated, at least in the number 12?
I also can't say that, but what I can say is that the threat was directly relating to the number 12 investigation.
Interesting. So what are you expecting in the coming weeks?
Well, for the security agencies to sit tight.
Okay.
And do some arrests, because so many things point to, obvious individuals, especially the people who actually carried out the dastardly. People saw them for hours. They went to a pub to sit there for hours. People saw them. So as far as the descriptions are concerned,
okay,
we should be able to find out who these people were.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Kise Agyapong is...
Oh,
yeah.
I have that. There's one thing that I have to chip in. If you give me just 30 seconds.
Please go ahead.
You see, there's this side going on and on and on about we shouldn't link it to Ahmed Suale's work and all that. We have every reason, 100%, to link it to his work because of the threats the young man was receiving before he was actually killed. If anybody knows any reason why we shouldn't link it to his work, we have provided the evidence why we are linking the death to his work as a journalist, as an investigative journalist. If anybody sits somewhere, no matter how exalted the person is, and says we shouldn't link it to his work, the person should provide the basis why we shouldn't link it to his work to help all of us fish out those who committed this crime.
Right, that's a fair demand. Simple. Right, that's a fair demand. Thank you very much. Kise Agyapong represents Anas Aramayawa NAS and the Tiger Eye PI investigative body. So just maybe 1 minute, Clara. I was asking about this thing about, the parliamentarians that you need the leave of the speaker. You need the speaker's authorization before you can arrest them or something. Is that really law?
Well, I don't think it is, but it looks like they've been doing this for quite a while. Yes. I don't think that is what the law says, that you would need the leaders.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now, Josephine, see, I have some difficulties. When the threat to the gentleman was made, it was public, and it was on not 1, 2 or 3 places. The police was not minded to ask anybody any question. But guess what? A gentleman in Kumasi apparently is alleged to have called one of the Tiger Eye PI people and threatened him on phone. Guess what happened? This was private and quiet. According to that allegation, BNI, 12 of their operatives went to that man's home, picked him up, brought him to Accra under 2 hours. He's a sick man. They got to Accra, he was almost dying. So they took him to a hospital. He recovered. They kept him and for about 5 days without bail, and then took him to court and he got bail. There was a public threat. Nothing happened. There is an alleged threat. No evidence. There was a swift action.
This is what perhaps calls into question I don't want to use the word incompetence, because I believe we have a competent police force. They decide to be competent when they want to be, and we have seen that when one of their own was killed and buried under a building. Concrete. They were able to, unravel that mystery and then resolve that that murder.
Careful, but how? Careful.
Information.
Yes.
Information. People give information.
Information. And I believe strongly that
the whole place and
when the police want information,
they did what?
They will get it.
They did what?
I understand that ninja issue, the way they brutalize the society, the people there. In this day and age, it would be quite difficult to do that.
Okay.
Because it was those
they cordoned off the whole place and brutalized the people until somebody said it's under the concrete.
Yes.
Okay.
So maybe this brings a different dimension to this assertion. But I still think that we have a competent police force. When they decide to be competent and do their work, they can. What baffles my mind is how these threats were taken lightly or perceived. At least that is my perception, that they perhaps took these threats lightly and didn't act on it. Nonetheless, when something happened, not in the private space, they were able to do this and even go ahead to break the law that guarantees us our freedom beyond the 48 hours.
Right.
So it begs the question, when is it that the police will act for us? Is it when it's in their interest or they are pushed to do it? And that is why people are beginning to find solace in other forms of security. As we sit here, we know as a fact that even men of God today have security men. And I understand.
Some of them rather funny, standing behind them while they are preaching.
And I understand that even our sitting president and the previous president had security detail that were not or are not part of the police force. So if at that highest level we must find expression of comfort in persons other than people constitutionally mandated to guarantee our peace, our security, then we must begin to question the whole idea of what policing is all about in this country. Did we have to wait for this gentleman to lose his life? Why did we not act on these public pronouncements or threats that were made to this gentleman's life?
Okay.
But I think that as things are going, this time round, the pressure is on, and the police must be seen to be resolving this murder.
Okay.
There are too many cold trails of murders in this country, and that is why people don't have that kind of confidence we want to see. So many people have lost their lives. Some investigation of sorts started, and it just, we don't hear about it anymore.
Okay.
But we want to see some finality and some closure to some of these cases.
Okay, thank you very much. Captain Budu Komsin, I don't know, do you have faith that something will happen? Because people don't really, there are some who just don't have any hope that anything will happen. When the BBC spoke to Ken Agyapong, they said, why don't you report to the police if you think they are criminals? And he said, I don't trust the police. We are even told he's threatening to expose the IGP himself over certain matters. Do you believe anything will happen? People are linking, saying, look, what's the name? Gregory Afoko, about Adams Mohammed's murder, 2015. Okay, so he gets arrested, he starts trial 2016, 2018, February 20th. It was hoped that the trial would have come to an end.
The MP, what's his name?
Suddenly, somebody else shows up, the person is arrested, the case is stopped all over again, they have to start all over again. They're like, so when? Do you hope?
As for hope, I always have hope. I am a perennial optimist. I say I can shout, I can curse, I can jump, I can do everything. But I never give up.
Okay.
You give up, die. So I never. No matter how doomsday, how dark it is, I don't give up. We should keep on fighting until you can't fight anymore. That's one thing. Actually, I'm also a bit stressed or at sea when I look at the police reaction to things and the law. We are told the law,
wheels of justice
the
grind
wheels of
slowly.
justice grind slowly. Ours is almost at a standstill. It gets there and you never know where is the issue. And sometimes, you see, I've been talking to some senior police officers on these outstanding murder cases and all these things. A huge portion of it is attitudinal. The individual police officers. Look, especially the investigators, they say the investigators, they are, even if it's a corporal, the station commander can't even influence him much. They are like authorities unto themselves, very indisciplined, always taking money from the person who complains. It's like chop money for them.
But you are generalizing it.
Oh yes, I'm generalizing.
There are some fantastic ones, good ones.
Sure. I mean, you see, it is the preponderance of this that makes it difficult for us to see the good ones. But I have very good officer friends, so I know. It's painful. Sometimes I hate for them, you know, because that's the general, it's a big brush we are painting. You know, then the other thing is also capacity. Are they that well trained to get to grips and do these investigations fast enough? I spoke to a certain senior officer and he intimated that if we take about 10 so-called CID or investigators, less than 50% of them are trained in the sense. So they may be there in name. That's why cases are sent to the Attorney General, I think, and then there are so many gaps and holes that the case, what do people call it, nolle prosequi, and what God knows what.
Nolle prosequi.
All sorts of things, you know, and it delays justice. It delays cases being filed. So it leads to people resorting to other forms because what it does is it eats at our confidence in the system.
Right.
It eats at our fabric. We lose, and it's dangerous because when we lose confidence in the police force, no matter who and how they are, I caution everybody. If you think they are useless, like this man said, I don't trust them, let them go on strike for 1 day or 1 week and see whether you will live in Ghana. You will run. Yeah. Look, they stand in the dust, they stand in the rain, they dike the traffic, they do all sorts of things. We should rather empathize with them, criticize them, empathize with them, and urge them. But we never give up on them. You can't. It's a luxury you can't afford.
Okay. Dr. Akwete, so what do you think? Do you think the police are too slow on this particular matter?
They could, not only on this matter, but this matter is important. But I think I want to look at the predicament of the police from how the institution has been weakened, especially when it comes to investigations. I mean, our police has some first classes. They are building police institutions in other countries.
Right.
So why can't they do it now? So it becomes a question of what does investigators have to investigate? Do they have the financial resources, the transport, the technology, the money? How have we equipped the police to tackle issues of this nature? It is true that once you get information, you should act on. But this could have been prioritized. There's a high-level national thing. It defines the image of Ghana in the corruption thing. It touched the president and so on and so forth. So that if such threats were coming and they've been put into the system, you would expect that it will be prioritized and that because if any one of them is killed, it still affects the country in negatively in many ways. So why doesn't it happen? Itself needs to be looked at. Often we gloss over the wrong or the weakness that, you know, aggravates the situation. Whose duty was it? Who didn't act? And what has happened to the person?
Okay.
Now, did that person also, officer, have real difficulties in operationally acting and so on. So I think that first of all, the IGP or the head of CID should tell us something. This evidence came, we didn't act on it, or whatever. Now, the other thing that comes up to that, I honestly think the police is under-equipped and under-resourced. And crime today is state of the art. They are far ahead of things. Because when you hear an individual telling you what investigations is conducted and what information he has and so on, this is a place where bugging gadgets no longer has any laws governing them. Whether it's in elections or in whatever. So there is a problem there. And I think that there's also this conflict. At what point is CID in charge? At what point is BNI? And how do the resources of the two match? And how are they coordinated?
BNI is supposed to be specially for intelligence gathering. But somehow they've gone to be doing the police work.
Yes, you see, so there is such
including
confusion.
Arresting people for taking photographs of
there is such confusion.
things.
So in the process, then what you ask yourself is that, you know, South Africans are talking about state capture. But is there a capture of our police, of our state, in the various institutions where you would expect the laws to be enforced to defend the values?
Okay.
Is there a state capture? Probably we have to look at that, because the instance you've given, BNI quickly going to commercial on the private thing, is there a financier who is so powerful that he can get whatever he wants from the police?
Maybe the person who is alleged is NDC, and that's the situation here.
So it could be political too, but you have to look at a combination of factors, that the institution that should secure the conditions for freedom and justice and equality behaves, or some elements in them are behaving in a certain way that are undermining.
All right, thank you very much. I'm instructed to take a break here, but I wanted Clara to assist us with a little education on the aspect of, because the Gregory Fuku thing was part of what we are doing. We'll be speaking to the Minister National Security. We'll be speaking to him briefly, but I wanted you to educate us a bit. People are blaming the Attorney General and accusing the Attorney General of doing some wrong. A trial has come how many years? From 2016 to, and should have concluded in this month. Then they say they have arrested somebody who was a fugitive of justice and who committed the crime together with this other person, whose trial almost has concluded. Is it wrong to put in the nolle prosequi and take the person and start the trial all over? Is there something else they could have done? Have they done anything wrong?
Let me start with the nolle prosequi, and then I think at the end of the day, people can judge for themselves whether they've done something wrong.
Okay.
Now, the Constitution guarantees, it allows, including the Criminal Procedure Act, allows the Attorney General at any time of any prosecution, including when the judge is about to read the judgment, to enter nolle prosequi. Entry of nolle prosequi, basically in simple English, is that the state is not pursuing the case. I'm stopping the case, or I'm not going once any longer. And even if the judge had finished preparing their judgment and they are about to read,
once they haven't read it.
Once they haven't read it, and then the Attorney General has decided, I'm not moving forward, that ends it. And that is the law provides that. But I can understand, we also now have to juxtapose that with the rights of accused persons, depending on the scenario. Under our Constitution, the accused person is entitled under Article 19 to a trial within a reasonable time.
Okay.
It is for that reason that sometimes courts dismiss cases for want of prosecution. Because if you bring an accused person and then you are not trying the case courtly enough, swiftly enough, you are breaching that person's right, because the trial process, particularly in murder, is traumatic. So if the person has to come to court and then it doesn't appear, that person too has rights. We all have rights within the law. So the person is entitled to be tried within a reasonable time. I think the issues that we are beginning to have with nolle prosequi, we have to start actually demanding in this case, a reason was given.
Yes.
In this nolle prosequi, a reason was given.
The person has been put back on trial.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the reason that was given is because somebody has been arrested. I think it is this is a case where we can actually now come under Article 296, because the reason you have to be candid, you have to be fair. The question now is that reason fair on the accused person? We all know that trial processes, particularly for murder, is traumatic. Not just for the accused person, for the victims as well. Every day they have to come and then relive the fact that they've lost a relative and then they are trying to find out what happened. Also for the accused person and their family, because they have to go through the traumatic process. And we know that a person is innocent until proven guilty. If you go through a 10-year trial...
You're not suggesting they should have gone ahead and conclude this, and by concluding that, they lost the opportunity to prosecute the other person.
But my problem is, what I have a difficulty understanding is, what happened? So, if they hadn't found this person, does that mean that they were not going... That's the missing link I can't find. Because I've always said that we shouldn't always rush to judge other people, because it could be you.
Thank you.
It could be you.
I think we can end it on that note and take a break. And on that note, let's say again that in Ahmed Suale, the police say they have spoken to Ken Agyapong and Kwesi Nyantakyi. It doesn't mean that they are guilty. Okay, they are suspects, so to speak, or we don't even know if they are suspect, because the police hasn't said that they have taken any caution statements from them. It could be they are not connected at all. So let's be careful how we proceed. We'll be right back. We return to our very first issue on the elections, and joining us on the phone is Ken Agyapong, the Minister of State in charge of national security. Thank you very much for joining us, Brian.
Thank you. Good morning, and good morning to your listeners.
Thank you very much indeed. Okay, so we are seeking information as to, what exactly happened. Why did you have national security officers at the home of only one of the candidates and not the others? What was going on?
Thank you. That information, the information that we had operatives in only one of the candidates' house is not true.
Okay.
We had an elections task force made up of police, national security, immigration, customs, prison. And we deployed to all the homes of the aspirants, the parliamentary candidates. So that information is not true.
Okay. All right. So is there any reason for this, or this is protocol? You deployed to all their homes?
It's standard protocol. We need to protect every parliamentary candidate.
Okay. But was there some specific assignment for, was there some intelligence leading to some specific assignment which got out of hand?
It is standard protocol that when you have an election like this, you assign security personnel to the parliamentary candidate or parliamentary or presidential candidate. It's a standard security protocol that we adhere to. In addition to that, we also receive intelligence information about some stuff, movements here and there that we track, we trace, and then we neutralize. And that information I may not be comfortable sharing on air.
I see. So the men who died fully armed in the buckets of the vehicles that we saw, they are not they are not guards for the MPs. They were for the special assignment on the intelligence you spoke about, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So were they successful in their assignments?
Because it's under active investigation, the information we have goes beyond the by-election that we just witnessed. It's a massive operation of movement of certain things that is undesirable to the public.
Okay.
And it's something that the operation or the information that we have, what we are tracking, has not ended. I mean, as we speak now, our men are actively engaged in unraveling the thing that we suspect it is. So it has not ended. When it ends and we deem it fit to apprise the public of that information, we will.
Okay, so if I could get you clearly, your men are still at the home which was suspected to hold arms and ammunition, and when they are done, you will inform us if it is necessary?
I did not say that. I said we are we are conducting a major investigation for the public good.
Okay.
It started before the by-election. The by-election day, there were something that we followed up. Even today, and yesterday were still that investigation is still ongoing. When it is complete and they are successful, the public will have to know. We will apprise the public.
Do you think the public must know because of the circumstances now, or that it will be a matter of your discretion still?
I am not too sure what the current circumstance is, or what the problem
no, because of what it has led to. 18 people injured. 18 people injured. Some have been to the hospital.
Can you repeat that, please?
18 people injured. We are told about 7 or so that were treated at, is it Legon area or is it 37 and so on. We have seen people who have their legs.
Where are you getting these numbers from?
Of course, the graphic reported 18 people injured.
I'm not too sure these numbers are accurate.
Okay.
We arrested 9 people in that house.
Okay.
In a home that is suspected to be the home of a candidate. We've arrested 9 people. 6 of them, in an attempt to resist arrest, were injured.
Okay.
They were all sent to the East Legon police station.
That's right.
Those that were injured were given medical forms to report to the police station. And we're talking about minor injuries. We have all the images. So I don't know. In fact, when the police went to the hospital to interview those who were there, we're talking a number of about 13.
Okay.
So we are not aware that 18 people injured and this and that. All those things are being cooked up by social media activists. I don't know where that story is coming from. It's not true.
Okay. So what do you say? My guests on the platform this morning, all 4 of them are united in saying this was a botched operation. That's as national security, a lot more was expected. You could have been a lot more proactive, and you could have acted in ways that would not have resulted in what we saw. What do you say to that?
Well, I don't know the question that was put to them. And there's a lot of misinformation going around and judgment being passed on that misinformation. We have intelligence. We go to the scene of the suspected location. We go there. We deal with the situation. And I'm not too sure why those who went there for the public good are the ones being blamed. If the operatives that were sent there, they misconducted themselves, that's why we would deal with it. But I think that at least those who are working to protect the public good deserve some commendation for following up on the intelligence, something that we have been working on for the past 1 month.
I see. So, okay, all right. Thank you very much, Brian Agyapong. Thanks for your time. Okay, so that was Brian Agyapong. Thank you very much for spending time with us. And I want to say a very big thank you to all of you who've tuned in and have been sending in lots of messages, but unfortunately, we are unable to share them at this time. My guests for this show this morning have been Dr. Emmanuel Akwete. Dr. Emmanuel Akwete is with IDEC. Clara Berry Kasati is lawyer and teaches at GIMPA. Also, Madame Josephine Nkrumah is chairperson of the NCCE, and Budu Kumsin, captain retired, is CEO of Nexus Consulting. Thank you very much indeed for making time to share your thoughts with us. I'm Samson Ladi, and my outfit, as always, is by Latida. Have a good afternoon.
Yeah, thank you.